All right, looks like we have some people on the broadcast
right.
tonight.
What's up?
So how's it going, Pat?
It's going great, man. Just, put the kids down, ready to chat with you, man. Excited.
Perfect. Well, thanks for joining me tonight. We're simulcasting. So my channel is called Well Paid Musician. Your channel is Pat and Sean Kelly.
Mhm.
So I'll just introduce myself. My name is Matt Santry, and musician, performer, and founder of the Well Paid Musician Club. And Pat, tell us a little bit about your project.
Yeah, so I am Pat, and my twin brother Sean and I, we go under the label of Pat and Sean Kelly or PSK Entertainment. We do have an entertainment company, as an LLC, and underneath us just to kind of keep everything organized. But we do mostly weddings in the greater Philadelphia area. Everywhere from Maryland up to wherever they'll pay us to travel to. But that's what we do full time. We do weddings and events. Again, mostly weddings. I would say 98% weddings we do throughout the year.
Awesome. So one of the things that we focus on in the Well Paid Musician Club is private events because,
Mhm.
I mean, you can get exponentially better fees than, say, playing at a bar or whatever venue.
Sure. Yep.
And you and I have this thing in common. It was basically around 2016 where we really got serious about
Yeah.
solely focusing on private events.
Yep.
So I think it's really amazing that in only 5 years, you guys have grown your business to where it's at now, where you're, commanding a premium price and you're booked through 2022, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. It's been a while, especially with COVID and the pandemic really
Yeah.
changed a lot, I think, for a lot of people. But also demand skyrocketed.
Yes. Yes.
Recently over the past 3 or 4 months, especially once May hit
Mhm.
and things were starting to look a little bit better, the demand just shot through the roof. So, we have, a little bit of that to thank as far as what's happening right now. But, we were in 2019, we had hit about 500 inquiries for the year. And 2020, I just kind of say it was 2020. I don't
Right,
know.
right.
I mean, I don't know if I can take everything, if I can analyze it the way I normally would. But it really hit me when I looked at the numbers. I was like, man, we're doing something right. I don't know what all of it is that we're doing right, but we're doing something right. What can I share with people to help other musicians to kind of maybe look at what they're doing and maybe change a few things to kind of be able to either make a living out of
Yeah.
playing music or to be able to do it, and get paid a little bit better.
Absolutely. And I'm not even make a living, it's making a nice living, having a great quality of life,
Hmm.
and having time for other stuff like family. So
Yeah.
one of the things Pat and I were talking about, like the impetus for change is like for me, 2016, our first son was born, and I was like, I'm done with the bar scene. I'm
Hmm.
done grinding. I'm when it comes to performing cover songs, I'm only going to do private events. I'm going to set a minimum fee. And what that did for me was it kicked me out of pretty much every bar I was playing at regularly.
Yeah.
And I had to just focus on private events. For you guys, 2016 was like the first year that you were really, you know, booked solid with
Yeah.
weddings, right?
Yeah. So I started in August of 2015 was when we announced that we were going to be doing it full time.
Okay.
And so from then on, we just built like we
Yeah.
were, I quit a job and basically I was on unemployment. I was basically just like, building that.
Yeah.
And it took about 6 months and we had 35 weddings on the book for
Wow.
2016. My goal was 15 that year, which
Yeah.
is kind of like to see that happen. I was like, okay, so we've hit something that people really like. We kind of fell into it, I feel like. And what is it that's happening? So from then on, I've been taking a kind of a hard look at what we've been doing and kind of what that means.
So Pat and I met through a mutual friend. So we're both in the
Yeah.
Philadelphia area, and
Yep.
our friend Ron DiSilvestro, who is a great drummer and engineer.
Shout out to Ron.
Yeah, he's done my original music in the last year, all the mixes and stuff. But he turned me on to your Instagram channel, and I was like, who are these guys? And that's really what, like, I didn't know what you were charging or how far, like,
Yeah,
because how are you going to know that?
of
Because
course. Yeah.
it's all private events. But I love the content that you guys were putting out. And there was one video that you did I thought was really funny. It was kind of like a Spinal Tap load in.
Yeah.
It was like, and you're
Yeah,
talking like,
we didn't realize how much of a node that would hit with people because we put it on TikTok too, and
yeah.
people loved it. It was the first one that we were like, oh, this is how you're supposed to use TikTok.
So you're consistently releasing this content that made it stand out to me. And then I reached out recently, and then I found out, I was like, wait, you're getting what? You're getting 5,500 for your duo, and you're booked all next year? Like, okay. Like, I would love if you came and talked to, our community about what it is you're doing. So,
Yeah, man, happy to share whatever I can.
yeah.
For
So
sure.
that's what I think is so cool. So thanks for doing this tonight and being here. And I'm going to give a shout out to some people that I see on the stream. This is Jeff. He's one of
What's up, Jeff?
our members of the Well Paid Musician Club. This is Dan Mazer. He's out in Detroit.
Oh, nice.
Dan's got a solo project and also a killer band. They're doing all sorts of great stuff.
That's awesome.
The Ever After Band. Okay, awesome. Well, thanks for tuning in, guys. So one of the first things I want to talk about was your background. Like, you guys playing original music, and when I saw the video, it was like kind of metal progressive rock stuff.
Yeah,
which is amazing that now you guys are doing like very pop, even country. Like you're going all over the map.
Everything pop, Americana. Just like anything with an acoustic guitar that you can do. We're doing most of it. And so we started out back in we played in a band called the Revere for a while. We're still planning on recording some stuff in the future and releasing some more stuff, but life kind of gets in the way of all that, kids and marriages and just getting life and all that stuff. And building this as well was, a lot of time. But so we'd been playing that for years, 15 plus years. We were on a label called Rockridge Music for a little while, and we didn't make any money. We just, we really just learned about the industry and learned a ton doing it. But writing music is really what we love to do. We're always going to be artists first. Yeah. So even when we take someone's song and we play it, just like anyone else out there and anyone else listening, you're going to do it kind of in your own way. And so Sean and I, we're twin brothers. We've been playing music together since we were, 9-10 years old, all the way up until now. And we've always played acoustic music together. So that was something that when we started doing this, we were like, well, why can't we just do this for a living? Why can't we, you have that light bulb moment, like, well, what's stopping us from doing it? Sean was already doing music. And then I just, had to, quit my day job to do it. So
but
that's
one of the
how
things
we got here.
When we touched base this afternoon, we're kind of talking about your background and what led to this. And one of the things you said was you were really unfamiliar with the country genre. Yeah. And then you said something about like you find it like the first dances are typically like country songs now.
So it's one of those things where country is not a style of music that I listen to on purpose. Yeah. That was just not what I grew up with and not what I was into. Right. And then you go into weddings and you have to kind of learn to appreciate most styles of music, all styles of music. Yeah. And that was one thing that Sean and I had always joked about. Like, we don't know country that well, but when you start doing weddings, it's like first dances. I think it's like over a quarter of first dances are country songs. Or there was a statistic on the Knot that I was like, man, that's a lot of country songs. Like, so I guess we got to learn them.
Well, and that speaks to the way you guys handle your business, because you have this original project, and you even said this in one of the times we were speaking, that it's not about you guys, it's not about your preference. You guys are curators of music for the clients. And so we'll touch on this a little bit later, like why people hire you guys. But one of the things that stuck out to me was that you kind of hold the client by the hand in a way and say, look, we will put this all together
Yeah.
for you for your evening. What makes moments for you? What's special to you? And I think I also forgot to mention that you also DJ. So you perform
Yeah.
acoustic and you
Mhm.
DJ as well. So
Yeah,
it's this like
that's probably one of the biggest selling points, and that's just how people are. Like, they like having everything kind of in one
yeah.
place that they don't have to worry about, like, okay, well, I guess I got to send the set list from here to the DJ so
Right.
that they're not playing the same song, and that you want to make sure that everything feels like a good flow. And that's the one thing we get to do, is we get to take the entire night and make it flow in a way that people feel really good, that there's no drop in music, that people just they like the whole thing, and they feel like it's all cohesive. And we get to do that, and it's super fun. We also get to play live in between the DJing as well, so we'll do first dance live, parent dances, maybe a slow dance, maybe the last song. It just depends on what the couple wants. But it's been pretty cool to kind of figure all that out, and see how people really do enjoy having the same people for everything.
So lay out that flow just for people that
Sure. Sure.
like
So
from the
ceremony.
beginning. Yeah.
Yeah. So ceremony and cocktail hour, people walk in. The first thing they see is these two dudes playing music, and they don't realize that we're gonna be there the whole night. So they see us playing. We do ceremony. It feels good because the music flows well. Everything's done at the right time, and then they switch over to cocktail hour. We're still playing music, whether we go to a new location or same location,
Mhm.
and after cocktail hours over, they all kind of go into the reception area. Then they see me on the board, and the music's already on there, so it's like this nonstop flow of, oh my gosh, I just saw these guys. Like, why? It's like this narrative. It's like a narrative effect, right?
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
why are they still here? Why
Yeah.
haven't you gone home, or why haven't you cleaned up yet? So then we DJ, and they're like, oh my gosh, this is great. You guys can do all of it. Can you come and do my event, or can you come and do my wedding? So we've been really fortunate to just kind of have that cool little niche that really tends to work well for people, and they really like it.
Now, when you're DJing, is Sean emceeing or how's it work? How's
Yeah,
the 2
so
of you?
the dynamic is, I'm on the board. I'm really focused on making sure, music wise, everything flows really well. The sound quality is good. Sean's out there listening, making sure it's not too loud, making sure it's good for people when they're eating dinner, that it's good
Yeah.
for people when they're dancing. And then he's emceeing. He's communicating with the venue, communicating with the couple, and that's kind of one of the things when you think of, like, what are people paying for?
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
you list all these different things. It's like you have professional musicians, and then you have people that are, they really care about events, and then you have, one went to school for music, one went to school for business. You
So
can
back
kind
up
of
though.
list all these things.
But so I know that, but I don't think people know.
Yeah.
So your twin brother went to school for music
Yeah, we both went to Temple for, yeah, he
and
went for music. Yeah.
and you went for marketing.
Yeah, I went for marketing. Yep.
Okay. So it's a good
Yeah,
combo.
so that's one of those things that you're like, you don't know what it all costs. What am I paying for? You're paying for, all of those things kind of stacked on top of each other,
Yeah.
that allow you to not have to worry at all about your wedding day and
Yeah.
your event.
Well, that's huge.
Yeah.
The continuity, less people to manage.
Hmm.
So these are all aspects of, why you're getting hired. Um, but let's talk about how do you find so I have a good friend that does dueling pianos, and I was telling him
Yeah.
about you guys today.
Yeah.
And I told him, what you guys were doing and charging. He was like, "That's awesome! Like that you're getting that for a duo." How do you find clients that are willing to pay that much? So again, not to focus too much on money, but when you told me that you were getting 5,500 for your duo, I was like, man, I just did a wedding on Saturday with a 5-piece, and I thought 5 grand was pretty good. Like,
Well, and it is. It's also the investment of time, and the
yeah,
investment of
yeah,
all that stuff. And I get it, because we've worked with different bands and different projects, and it's like it's kind of this branded thing. Which is just very business, and I don't like to, like, pump my ego up too much about all this stuff, because money is money, and, like, money
yeah, yeah.
comes and goes, and
Sure, sure.
it's life. But Yeah, there's a lot of different things that couples look at and they see that, like, it's almost like these intangible things and very tangible things that you have to give them kind of at the base, right? Like,
Yes.
how many gigs have you done? How many, how much have you done within the music scene? What are your reviews like? Like, all that stuff, that's all the tangible
Absolutely.
stuff. But it's the relationships is really where it's at. When it comes
Okay.
down to it, when it comes down to getting the best paid gigs, it's the relationships that you have. And the relationships are the venues, the
Okay.
vendors, the couples that you worked with. For example, we try to put a show on, or two shows on every year if we can squeeze it in, where we invite the couples and other vendors. We invite all of our vendor friends, all the couples, and we actually buy them, their first round of drinks is on us.
Oh, wow.
So if there's 200 people there, 150 people there that are all people that we work with, and they want a drink ticket, like, we'll give them a drink ticket and they get a drink, and it's on us, just because we want to build that community and show that appreciation for what they've been able to help us build, because we don't do it on our own, right?
Yeah.
It's them as well that are really helping us.
Now, I'm
And
bringing up your website as you're
yeah,
talking.
sure. Oh, awesome. No, that's great. And so, really, and I showed you a graph before,
Yeah.
when we were chatting about, the gigs that we have coming in, and how many of them come from where. Because
Yes.
when someone comes to you and they're like, "Hey, your aunt told me about you. Are you
Yeah.
available for my wedding day?" That's a lot different than, "Hey, this venue sent me to you.
Right.
Are you available for my wedding day?" Because they're oftentimes, more likely than not, they're not going to be expecting the same thing.
Absolutely.
And the venues that you get good business from are the venues that they meet a certain price point. The couple is expecting certain things specifically because of the venue that they're going to. And that's a big part of that as well. And then, on the other side of it, you have kind of I don't want to call it a hierarchy. Maybe it's like the list of how things happen. Couples go to a venue, they book their wedding, and that's the first people that they talk to. And
Yeah.
so you want them to see you right away. So they talk to the venue, and then they're going to look at their photographer. Okay, the photographers they're also very, very, I mean, photographers are very expensive. They're the ones that probably can charge the most out of most vendors in the wedding industry. And so they also can recommend people, because they're kind of
Right.
at the beginning as well. So
Right.
you want to be,
So
networking and being friends with as many of these people as you can.
there's
And that's really the biggest part of it, is that
there's a couple
is
things that I want to touch
sure.
on real quick. So I brought up your website just to show
Mhm.
people, first of all, kind of the vibe. Like, you can
Yeah,
see, like, as far as weddings go, the bow tie, the suspenders, like,
sure.
these guys, obviously they're twins. They have a look, but they're, have a very specific kind of, I don't want to call it a uniform, but it's like, it's Pat and Sean that are showing
Mhm.
up. So even if,
Yeah.
like, I was at that wedding, if I would have been like, the brothers, the guys with the suspenders, the like, I would know that. So
Yeah.
I love that, because very purposeful. And you said, like, your wife kind of gave you a hard time, like, you're not just going to show up in black, like,
Yep.
you're gonna have some style, and you're gonna do this thing. So it's part of your, what we call, in the club, the unique selling proposition, like, why
Mhm.
people hire you and what makes you stand out. So, another thing I want to touch on here is that you have this referral system, because
Yep.
inside, my program, we talk a lot about, online platforms, and that's an amazing way to get started and get consistent leads. But I love that you have this kind of, this referral system worked out. So even on your website, and this helps with SEO, so search
Mhm.
engine optimization, the more
Yeah,
links
for
that you
sure.
have, to other trusted sites, the higher you're going to rank organically. So you've got, stationery, photography, planners. You've got, the photo booth. You've got, florists and videographers. So you've got all this stuff, and they're willing to, recommend you as well. So I think this
Yeah.
is something that I think is amazing for me because, you know, I do some of these things intuitively where,
Mhm.
you know, referrals come naturally and that's where
Sure.
I'm never out of leads, but I haven't systematized it in the way you guys have. So,
Well, and
um,
I think that's something that the wedding industry really does pretty well, or at least a lot of vendors really hone in on that, and especially venues.
yes,
Venues want to work with people that they don't have to worry about. Because I
yes,
don't know why there's so many horror stories,
yeah,
but a DJ comes in, either the DJ's drinking or, and getting wasted on the job, or they're just not really reading the crowd and everyone kind of feels out of flux and it's not really good. And there's just all those horror stories. I'm not saying that's how all DJs are by any means. There's so many amazing DJs out there, but it's just that they want to work with people that they know they don't have to worry about. And so the people that we get to work with regularly, it's like when you walk in, it's like going home again. Like, and you
yeah,
can stay after
yeah,
and they're like, "Hey, you want a beer? You want to hang out with us for a little bit?" Like
yeah,
that kind of rapport you
totally,
build, and it's really fun to
totally.
kind of do that.
Absolutely. I remember when, you know, my wife and I got married and we looked at venues and we were like, "Oh, can we bring in our friend who's a caterer?" They're like, "No, we've got a
Yeah.
list of 5 people. That's all we work with. And if you don't want it, you can't get married here." I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah.
That's how
Yeah.
they do it. Um, so you pulled up do you want to pull up that
Sure.
that chart? So
Yeah,
what is it
let
called?
me grab it.
Honeybook?
Yep. So Honeybook is a CRM that
Okay.
essentially
Hold up.
it works. There you go. Should be up there now. Yep.
All right, let me
So
see if I can
Honeybook is a CRM that you can use. You can put on your website. You can put the form for people to fill out, and they can fill out all their information and to inquire for the wedding day, or to for a lead. So it organizes everything for you, and it should be on there, right?
cool. So this is just
Cool.
honeybook.com.
Oh yeah,
And
honeybook.com. Yep.
and then
And I would say it's, especially in the wedding industry, it's very, very popular. A lot of people use it. I can name 15 people off the top of my head that I'm pretty sure use it regularly. And I use it it's also messaging, like emailing. It's integrated in your email. Um, it allows you to really track things very well. I thought I was tracking things really well on my own with my spreadsheets,
yeah.
but I was way off. So what this does is this graph just shows where all of the incoming leads are by source. So venue referral, vendor referral, and those two are the biggest for us,
That's
but
amazing.
they also are the ones that usually lead to gigs, and usually well-paying gigs. Those ones definitely. And then you have we're going to skip unknown because that's probably a combination of everything. And then you have the not,
Yeah.
and friend referral, which are both really great, and also client. Those are kind of great. The not was huge for us in the beginning when we first started.
Yeah.
I remember being like, I put on my credit card, to do the not for a month. I was like, oh my God, this is so much money. How am I going to ever do
Yeah.
this? And then we ended up getting, 4 or 5 gigs that after that first month. And I was like, okay, I can
Yeah.
rest easy because
Yeah.
we can pay for, we can actually pay for this.
Yeah.
But it is kind of tough because the knot doesn't always work for everyone, and the wedding wire doesn't always work for everyone. Gig
Especially
masters,
if you're not really focused on weddings. You
yeah,
know, if that's not your
yep,
thing, like if you're dabbling in weddings, yeah, I mean, that's why I tell people like, don't go out and pay that. I mean, I think things have changed a little bit now post COVID.
yeah,
Like you can do the monthly, but before
sure,
they were
sure.
asking me, for like 4 grand up front, and I was like, nah, you know
Yeah,
what I
they
mean?
were they
Like,
were asking they're asking for a year, or
yeah,
if you did it monthly, you were still in
yeah,
a year contract.
and it's not because
And
weddings for me personally, they're good, but it's just a lot of like it's 4 hours of setup and breakdown for me.
yep,
Um, when I can make almost as much playing somebody's house and setup and breakdown is 20 minutes because it's
yeah,
just me in and out. So I just have a different feeling about that part of it, and that's, it's my personal preference of, I love playing with a band though. It's a lot of fun. But
Oh, of
yeah,
course.
so
Yeah.
that's why I when I tell people, like, look, if you're not serious about weddings, if you're not like all in on it, then I wouldn't definitely don't start with the not wedding wire. Like
Yeah.
it's a worthwhile investment to do it if you're serious about weddings. But if you're not all in, there's other ways to get started.
Sure.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. For sure. And they're also, you can do like the standard, subscription or the highest subscription, but
yeah,
the reality is, if you're not doing the highest one, you're you're
that's
you're not going to get nearly as many as you would like to.
exactly.
But we also, like I said before, we also kind of dipped into both because we were on the DJ side, which is less expensive to do than for the band side, for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
And we ended up being like, hey, this is going to work out really well because we're not marketing ourselves on there just as DJs. We're
Yeah.
doing it as both. So it allowed us to kind of break through. And I've had some other guys who've done the same thing, and they've had success with it too. So, that's a kind
Yeah.
of a, I don't know if I can say it's like mean or not, but it's just working with the system in the way that will, allow you to kind of break through in a different
It's
way.
right. It's standing out. It's
Yeah.
it's it's having that unique selling proposition of when people are looking at, 25 DJs. Oh, these guys also play music, and they'll say, well, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So we'll touch on that a little bit more, but the very first thing here is your venue referral. How do you become a preferred vendor? How do you get that?
It's really funny because you just have to be, either you ask them or they ask you. And it's a lot of times you have to be there more than once. There's
Hmm.
certain venues that don't allow anyone to be put on their list until they've been there 3 times, or until, but then there's some places that, even if they have that rule, they don't really care, because they're like, we really liked what you were doing today.
Hmm.
And that's one of the things that we've been very fortunate with. It's been insane. We'll go somewhere once, and we won't hear about it for a while, but somebody who was working there, the manager or the coordinator, will have put us on their list, and we'll all of a sudden be getting leads from it. And I'm like, where was that? Like, I
Yeah.
forget where we went. Like, we were in Delaware or something. And then we have a venue in Delaware that we get a ton of leads from. And so we're just going to go to Delaware a few times a year because of that, like down
Yeah.
to the beach or something. So there's a lot of that. The thing is, it's about making the connection with them, and about really making their job easier, and
Yep.
never letting it be about yourself.
Yep.
If you have like an ego going in, like, man, I'm the shit, like I'm really great at what I'm doing, people don't want to work. They don't want to work with someone like that. They want to work with someone that is extremely helpful, that, you know in the beginning, especially when you meet someone, a lot of times by the end of the night, they're going to cool down a lot. Like, the coordinator's like really hyped up because it's just really high strung, and the bride needs this, and this is happening. And then by the end of the night, they're like really cool about everything. And we had
Yeah.
another venue that was like that. Like, we had this kind of like butting heads, like, hey, we can't set that up there. That's just not going to be able to happen. And they're like, well, you can only set up there. So we ended up trying to make it work. And by the end of the night, they were like, you guys were really helpful. Thanks so much. We're going to put you on our vendor list. And we were like, really? Are
Yeah.
you sure? So it's just kind of those things that you really have to work well with people, and just not let it be about yourself, and really let it be about them.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
and sorry, just to kind of finish that conversation too. The niche part of it, the fact that we do both, that is
yeah,
really one of the biggest selling points that anyone, I mean, that really does cut through a lot of stuff, because it's unique. It's something that not a lot of people are doing, that I know a lot of musicians could end up doing.
totally. Totally. So looked at,
Hmm.
I mean, your biggest source right now is the vendor referrals, which is amazing. But how do you know? And I did ask this, but let's just like get really clear about it. How do
Sure.
you know people are going to be willing to spend that money? Because, if I were to ask, uh, let's say 2,500 for a duo, I feel like I'm doing good. I'm doing pretty well.
Yeah.
So if I'm asking 5,500, how and this is really what this workshop is about. How can I have the confidence to say, yeah, my duo's 5,500?
Um,
How do I do that?
oh man. So these are the kinds of things that I don't like. I don't like to say, but I'm just gonna kind of say
Okay.
how it is. The more that you're building things, right? Like the way it works is you have this one thing that you do. You play gigs, you do that. But then you also have a podcast, and then you also release music on Spotify, and then you also are very active on YouTube, and you're active on Instagram, and then all of a sudden all these things start piling up, and then you end up doing a gig for, let's say, a really high profile wedding that ends up in the Knot magazine, and then you end up doing a gig for some quote unquote famous person, and then you end up doing, so all of those things stack up, and at the end of it you're like, I guess I need to charge more. You're kind of like,
Okay.
it's kind of, you feel like you're forced to do that.
It's
So it's really
experience.
the building of experiences and all the
Yes.
different things that you do, because we didn't start out that way. We
Sure. Of
started
course
out
not.
around 2000, 2500.
Yeah.
And the reason we started out at 2500 is because I had to do the math, and I had to make as much money as I was making at my old job doing this after
Yeah.
at least a year. So, I mean, you know all about that. So it's one of those things that, like, that's where we started. But over time, you just have to put yourself in different positions where you're getting experience that is extremely valuable, and that people understand that they're going to have to pay more for, even if it's not right in their faces. Like, even if they don't know what gigs you've done or who you've worked with, they can kind of see it through the way that you're presenting yourself.
But it sounds like you're tapping into a network of people that are able to pay that. And I think we touched on this. Like if it's coming from a vendor, whether it be the venue or it be the photographer, and you know
Sure.
how much that vendor is charging, then you know that you can charge a premium price because, well, they're paying $7,000 for the photographer, so they can
Exactly.
afford, more than $2,500, or afford is just a relative term. They're willing to spend. They're willing to spend that money.
Yeah, and that's a huge, I mean, that's the nail on the head right there, is, if you're working with people that are pushing hard like you are to be in a spot and to kind of break through as well and do their thing and charge a premium, because this is what they do for a living and they love it. It's not just like, I need to make a living. They're like, this is what I do. I live and breathe it. Then you're working with the right people, and you're going to be able to charge a premium for it.
So my takeaway is the experience, number one, okay, and you have to kind of get there gradually. It's not like, I mean, you can charge more than you think at weddings, but to really get to a place where you have premium pricing, you work up to that.
Sure.
So that's the first thing, is the experience and working towards it. And the second thing I took away from this was just like that vendor referral system that you have, and being in that company where premium clients that are looking, for a premium experience are, in this network of people. So you would actually turn them off if you charged less. Like they would be like,
in a way, actually, they would be telling you that you need to charge more.
yeah,
They would be like, hey, there's this thing that you can do if you want to charge more, and you just charge more because you're working with us, and you're working at the, you're working with this group of people that we like what you do too. So we also want you to succeed. And that's the cool thing, is that people aren't working against each other. They're not trying to make it harder for you. They're trying to make it easier for you.
Yeah.
Cool.
So just to read it, I'm looking at some comments, but
Sure.
yeah, I mean, this is what I'm talking about is we're looking at the network of people that we know can vendors that are charging premium prices. So obviously we can charge the same or more or whatever, and the confidence to do so. So this is great. Let's see, what did Nate have to say? Yeah, so this was a little bit earlier on, Nate, but I think we covered this, that we're talking about, vendor referrals is a huge source of new leads. Well, at least the number one, as far as Pat and Sean are concerned, based on, the data they have from Honeybook. So that's pretty cool. And then this is Joseph. He's a member of the Well Paid Musician Club. He wants to know how much of the reception is DJ versus live music?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, usually a lot of it is DJ'd. So I would say maybe half the weddings that we do, maybe a little less than half the weddings we do, we'll play live during dinner, maybe like 6 or 7 songs. But other than that, it's usually just like the special dances, and that's really it. And then we'll do everything DJ'd after that. And the reason is because couples can't really always agree on that. They can't agree on, I want a live band, I want a live DJ, like which one am I going to get? But if you can get both, and we're
Yeah.
kind of in that middle spot too. That's the beauty of it, is like you have bands up here, and then you have your 10-piece band up here that's 10 plus grand, and then you have your DJ down here that's like 1500. You can go in between there and just kind of play in there and see where you fit. And that's the cool spot with kind of dueling and doing the live music and DJ.
Yeah. And I love the idea that it's just less headache because it's hiring the same company for your entire
Sure.
event. Because I do a fair amount of weddings where I'm the ceremony cocktail hour guy, and I actually love those because I'm like, peace, I'm out of here.
It's great. We look at you and we're like, okay.
But I'm not.
We're usually the ones doing it.
I'm not making the same money. Like I'll maybe it's $1,000 or a little bit more to do that. So, hey man, for an extra few thousand, I'd hang around for the whole event.
Well, and that's the thing is it's like making it so that that you're going to put your best work in, and never have to, and never have to worry about it. You're going to, you're going to put your best work in. You don't care if you get tipped. You don't care. You know what I mean? It's like, I want to know that I'm going to be able to do this, get paid well, and put my best work in.
Awesome. So this is Jeff. Jeff, member of the Well Paid Musician Club. He's got a band called Ostrich Hat, and they do a lot of weddings. So he's digging the idea of vendors on your webpage. So
yeah, it's a great way to network with people, and also to exchange that too. To say, especially if you're working your way up and there's other photographers or videographers or whoever that is doing the same thing, say, hey, do you have a vendor list? And just like kind of give that that kind of cue, like, hey, we could be helping each other out.
Oh, he's got 7 booked in 2022 already.
Dude, that's you're set, awesome. Man. That's awesome.
And then this is Jerry, live musician and DJ. Could do both. Sounds great. So, Pat is. We were talking about this and about being a DJ. Like, you'd rather teach a musician to do it because they're going to have the inclining to understand tempos, understand keys, understand transitions, rather than just, I don't know, you're kind of a layperson on the street. Right.
Yeah.
So
yeah, because that's what you do already, right? As a musician, you're building set lists. You're like, I'm going to put these songs together because I don't have to change my capo. So I'm going to put these songs together. And then, these are 3 upbeat songs, towards the end of the set that I want to make sure I'm doing. And then, you always have that last one that you're like, that's the one that everyone's going to want to do, or your encore or whatever. But how the ebb and flow of a set goes. It's the same exact thing, and the cool thing with DJing is you can change keys on songs if you need to, you can work with stuff. It's like you're going to learn so much as a DJ that you can implement as a live musician. And which is a really cool part of it too.
Yeah. So why do people hire you and your brother instead of like your 12, 15 piece band with the horn section they claim, okay, look, and this isn't a dig on agency bands, but they're out there and I feel like they kind of specialize in, like, we can play anything. We can play Sinatra. We can play Britney Spears. We can play jazz standards. We can play hip hop. We could play country. We could do everything because, and that's awesome. But you're also going to pay $15,000, $25,000 for that band. Right. So why do you guys think that you are getting that kind of work versus, your agency bands?
So first off, I love bands. Like we just said, I love playing a full kit. I love, like, eventually Sean and I are going to have some sort of larger band at some point, just because who doesn't love doing that? But the question is, why are people hiring us
Yeah.
instead of going up there? The oh man, there's so much in this. And you know what? I took notes on this because I knew this was a specific moment that I would. So the price point is huge for
Yeah.
people,
Hmm.
right? They're always going to, again, like I said, that middle point that you can play with to see where you fit in the price point.
Yep.
That's always going to be a good sell. It's like we could hire these guys, or we could hire, a full band.
Hmm.
But being able to say to we get this all the time from couples. You'll have one person in the couple, they'll say, I really wanted live music, but I really wanted live music that had like Lumineers or Mumford and Sons or classic rock, like acoustic classic rock or whatever it was. And then they'll say, but the fiance really wanted upbeat club music or upbeat DJ music. And that's one of the things that they can't agree on it, but they can agree on this because we're doing both.
Hmm.
And that's a really big sell for people.
Yep.
There's also another part of it is that Sean and I are less about the hoopla. Like we don't do a ton of lighting. Like we do lighting, we have dance lights and stuff, but it's not that big of a deal. And we don't focus on it like say you're in Jersey. We all know that New Jersey is known for having their weddings just like a club. We don't do that, but it's still a dance party. It's still like a ton of fun, and people feel more relaxed and they don't feel like their ears are it's too loud. We don't want the hoopla of the just too much. And that's something that people really dig. They're like, are you going to be on the mic all night? We're not going to be on the mic all night at all. We're just going to do all the things we need to do, like make announcements and be excited for introductions. Sure, we're going to do that, but we're not going to be on the mic like, get on the dance floor. Where are you guys going? Come on. That's not our vibe. And if that is your vibe, that's totally fine. And if it works for the weddings that you're doing, every area is different. That's totally fine. But people are drawn to that kind of less intense hoopla.
What I'm gathering here,
Sure.
and, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's not so much that you're competing with big bands as you're competing with other DJs, and you have this like musician side, and you can offer something that a DJ can't.
Yeah.
They can't do that.
That might be like the switch that some people are like, well, or we could just pay this and have almost both. Like it's almost a huge band. I mean, it's two guys, but it seems to be working out. And then they can also DJ. Let's go for it. And they see the reviews, and that's really like we talked about before. People see the reviews and they'll go on and they'll see videos. And we've done trying to do more DJing on our Instagram and showing people just like that we can do certain things. And that's been a huge help too. Just now, kind of showcasing everything.
Where do you house your reviews? Like if I want to see your best reviews, where do I go?
From the very beginning, I just said, we're going to do everything on the Knot.
Yeah. Makes sense.
The SEO is the best for us. It's free, but
to host the reviews.
Yeah, to host the reviews.
You don't have to pay to have people review you, which
exactly
was an issue with some other platforms, so you have to pay.
Sure, and that's been the thing. It's always been the Knot and Wedding Wire, and also you can use that if you get enough reviews in your first year, you can utilize that to say best of weddings. You can you can put that up there, and that kind of gives you legitimacy. We were able to do enough to get the Hall of Fame, so that we didn't. So we never really have to worry about like having to do it like that. But we still have everyone review us there, and we're just going to continue doing it that way.
I think it's great because like there's something called Trustpilot, but it costs money. There's Google reviews. You could do that too, I guess. But especially how, focused you are on weddings, like, and it doesn't cost any extra money. Why not just host it on Wedding Wire the Knot?
Sure.
So I think
I think Wedding Wire is a little bit better for that in the free platform, because they do still have, you can still have like photos and stuff. The Knot, it's like there's no photos. It's just the name of the company.
I mean, I still get wedding gigs on my free Wedding Wire plan. I think I'm grandfathered in. I don't think they do a free plan anymore. But I still get leads from it. I still get gigs.
That's great.
So, in the last what do you attribute most to your growth? Like in 5 years, and in the middle of that, COVID was shutting down everything.
Sure.
Like
Yeah.
how did you go from quitting your day job to, I mean, essentially a six-figure income? If we're talking, just numbers, like how did you do that in 5 years?
The first off, Sean and I have always played music together, so that was something we could make the switch pretty quickly. Um, I did have to learn how to DJ,
Okay.
like pretty much from scratch. I had used some stuff on my computer, but I hadn't had a console before. And so I remember like looking at it one time and I was like, what am I doing? Like, was this a good idea? And then like, 2 weeks later I was cruising and every single day I would get on the board because that was my day job. Every single day I'd get on
Okay.
the board
Okay.
and I would learn more and I would learn more and I'd watch DJs online and it's like
Cool.
you learn to love it, especially as a musician, you learn to love it. So it was in the beginning we could do the switch easy, then you just learn the new things that you need to learn. And then we also dove into the industry with both feet. We just said, we're doing weddings. Like, this is what we do. It seems to work for us. The best of both worlds is kind of the claim word. Again, I don't like to I'm not trying to pump myself up here or put my ego up at all. It's just that kind of that best of both worlds works to basically say, you can, instead of having this crazy huge band and getting a DJ with them or trying to find a DJ, you can have both with these guys doing it, and it's going to be like less hoopla, less of the worry stuff, and they're going to curate what you guys enjoy. Like, I ask them and we want to know, what genres do you like, what artists do you like, what kind of dance vibe do you want? Most people just want a dance floor and that's really it, but all of those things, again, stacking up and learning the industry is really what kind of helped us to get into there. And then the biggest thing is the niche and branding what we're doing, not in a way where it feels, inauthentic or forced or anything like that. We're still artists. We're always going to be artists at the core, and people are always going to know that. But, we were able to brand ourselves in a way that says, hey, we're twin brothers and this is what we do. We play weddings for a living.
So two things are really standing out to me in your answer. Number one is the focus. Okay. Because without that, you could have been like, I don't know,
Sure.
gotten impatient or maybe we should start doing this. And we're doing weddings and we're going to incorporate, the DJ factor into it. The second part is what I talk about in my program is the unique selling proposition. So, maybe we use different language when it comes to this, but it's essentially what makes you stand out, why people hire you over, above other pros. So what is your elevator pitch? What's your unique selling proposition? Why should I hire you?
So it's the best of both worlds, and you're getting the live music, you're getting DJing. That's what people, when they see that and when they hear that, I don't know what it is. They're like, that's so brilliant. Like, yeah, but if you're a musician, you could probably do something similar to this too. And that just, it kind of like, it's kind of one of those things that you're like, that's too easy. But that's really what it comes down to, is that you're willing to put the time into learning some of these skills that are really valuable. A DJ on their own is very valuable. A band on their own or an acoustic duo is very valuable. But when you put them together, it's like people think that you did something crazy when really you're just saying, no, I just spent more time learning and I went all in on the wedding industry, and going full time into something will give you an edge in most areas. So if you're going to spend all your time thinking about and doing weddings, then you're probably going to get ahead quicker simply because you're focused in on that.
Totally.
And doing it every weekend and working with good photographers or taking pictures of you at weddings who are videographers who get good videos of you at weddings. So that's the kind of thing that it just kind of spirals and snowballs.
But you also said something that comes to mind is, okay, anyone could do this or whatever. It's the appearance of uniqueness. That is a key thing in the unique selling proposition. Like, we're all playing the hits, right? We're all playing popular music.
For sure.
We could have the same exact set lists, but that doesn't make us the same in the eyes of a client.
Yeah.
So the fact that you're saying, like, we're all in one with a DJ, and they're like, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
It's not that, not that unique, but it is to them. And that's what's
Yeah.
important. The way you present it so that they're like, I mean, yeah, we got to hire these guys because they're doing this thing nobody else is doing.
Well, and you're also saying I'm a musician. I'm trying to be a musician, or I am a musician at a high level, but I'm also a DJ at a high level. I'm going to invest in the time, in learning the skills and being interested in it. That's really if you're interested in it, then you'll go, you'll do more with it. And those are the things. It's like once you get to a certain point, you're like, okay, so now I'm like really all in on this. I guess I can't really go back. So
but that focus is so huge.
See it.
That you say that too, like you're thinking about it all day, you're practicing, like you're really laser focused on the wedding industry. And I think that that's awesome because it's like anything, it's a lot of work up front, but then you get a system down and you realize, well, you only have to do 50 dates in a year to make a great living. And it's not that you have, 6 days off a week because you're investing your time in your client book and everything else and your practice and you're making content, you're doing all those things. But the sweat equity is really just kind of that one day, and you're enjoying it too. So I think it's a great lifestyle business too. You could be like we were talking today, like you be home with your kids, during the day. You could pick them up from school. You could do, you can do those things.
Yeah, I'm that dad that's like hanging out with my kids during the week all the time and picking them up and I love that. And most people are like, I don't know what this guy's like. I don't know what he does all day.
Yeah, right.
Like he's never in his clothes are never like
he sells drugs.
Yeah, that's it. No, that's legal now, right? Yeah. So it's just like it. And one of the things that I wanted to make sure I put out there too is like Sean and I, one of our objectives is to, I don't want to say attract, but like to let people know that we know that other great creatives can be a part of the wedding industry. It doesn't have to be like your late 90s, early 2000s growing up, going to weddings and it's like cheesy and lame and whatever. It doesn't have to be that way. And people really don't want that anymore. And so that's kind of what we have really done our best to say. And there's a DJ company called Lovesick that was kind of the influence for us to be like, yeah, we can do this. Like they're so cool and they do weddings. Like we can do that too. And so you have kind of that mindset of how can we change the industry a little bit so that it feels less lame and more a place that we would want to be.
I mean, and I love your attitude on the whole thing. Cause I've been very timid about the wedding thing. Not so much lately because I have more of a system down and but like at first it just seemed so overwhelming and like every wedding was like super stressful for me. And now, it's still a lot of work because I don't do them every weekend, but I don't get like stressed about it like I used to. I'm like, all right, cool. Well, I have my set lists, I've got the players or if it's just me acoustic, I know my role. I've learned the songs for the clients, and we're good. So the last question was what excites you about music, and I think we've kind of touched on that all throughout. You've been you ooze it, and everything you do and talk about. So I just love the transition from playing kind of this metal prog rock to wedding music. And what I take from that is you said, you take your ego out of it, you make it about the client because you and your brother love music and you will help your clients, put together their vision because you are the musicians and you'll curate for them. And that's still satisfying and why you love doing what you do.
And there's a lot of songs, and I'm sure you've had this where, a client says, can you learn the song? And we say, absolutely.
Yep.
We know we're never going to play it again.
Yep.
But we're more than happy to learn it for them because it's important to them.
Good point. I think we said the same thing. We give clients 3 songs that we learn.
Yeah.
Right. Because you don't want clients trying to throw a dozen or more songs that you're never going to play again. So we say, you got 3 songs.
Here's our list. And then we can learn 3.
Yep. Yeah.
But then that list just keeps growing too. Because you learn songs. You're like, I'm going to keep that. I'm going to keep that.
Totally. Awesome. I just want to bring up some of these comments.
Sure.
This is Susan, and good to see you on here, Susan. Glad to do this. I want to
Absolutely
do
glad.
more of these kind of live streams where I bring in experts on certain topics. Got another Philly cat here. James, what's up?
What's up, James?
How are you?
Philly loves Philly.
Except when Philly loses.
Which seems to be happening lately.
Yeah. Where are we at? I know we had some. So do you have one price for all events, or does it vary? Do you have
so
tiers,
that's
packages?
a good question. A lot of people say, like, do you have Friday price and Sunday price and then Saturday premium? We actually charge the same for Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Cool.
And we just charge based on whether it's reception and cocktail, or reception, cocktail, and ceremony. I would say I don't think we had any gigs this year where it was just reception. I don't think we did just that, because we'll have a base price that in order for us to be there is the reception price, but then it's just reception, cocktail, reception, and then the full day.
Nice.
So yeah.
So follow up from Chris. Starter kit for DJs in terms of
I would go for Pioneer DDJ SB3, and I think there might be a newer version of that out. I haven't been dabbling in the kind of those the beginner ones. I say beginner, but you can do almost everything that you would ever need to do for weddings on those boards. So I mean, you can key match, beat match, like you can do a whole bunch of stuff that just you wouldn't have to. You could spend $250 and not have to spend $1,000 or something.
Nice.
That's the board I would recommend. Pioneer is always great, and then your speakers and stuff. There's so many.
For your
whatever you use, typically use that as well. But the more gigs you do, if you can invest in the QSCs or the anything like that,
or whatever.
Yeah, we all know that.
This is a great question. You cap how many weddings you take on for the year?
Yeah, we capped next year. We're capping it around 50. I think we'll probably only be at 52 and cap it there. We're at 50 right now, so we're pretty much done for the most part. But I think we're gonna try. We might open up some stuff for later in the year, depending on what happens. But it just depends on what the year brings us. And then how long do we spend with so how long do you spend roughly with each bride and groom?
I'm guessing like interface before. That's what I'm guessing.
Oh, you know what? It's usually a phone call, 20 to 30 minutes. And then we just send out with a good explanation for our wedding sheet for them to fill it out. And I would say about half of our couples fill it out, and we don't have to talk to them at all, like call or anything. Okay. And then the other half, maybe we'll do a quick 10, 15-minute phone call. They're usually really short.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. So lifestyle business. Absolutely. Janelle, inspiring. Thank you.
Thanks, Janelle.
Glad we could do this. This is pretty funny. This is Dan. I don't know what he does all day.
Dude, for real, it's just one of those things. Like, what does he do all day? Sometimes I don't know what I'm doing all day. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, so Jeff wants to hear your original stuff.
Oh yeah, just type in if you go on Spotify or Apple Music, The Revere, Revere, and our newest album was from a long time ago, but it's called Behold to See Itself. But all this stuff is good. It's all professionally recorded, semi-professionally recorded, whatever. And we love. We had a great time doing all that. So we'll definitely end up doing some stuff later on.
Awesome. Cheers from Alabama, sweet home.
Nice.
Amazing. So I'm gonna throw a link in here in the comments, guys. So for any of you that are unfamiliar with the Well-Paid Musician brand, this is a program that helps performing musicians like yourselves consistently find these type of gigs. So if you want to know more about it, this is not a hard pitch at all. This is just, that's the bit.ly link, because the other link is a little long, but you can check out the webinar, and if it's for you, you can join. If you're not ready at this time, just keep following along. At this point, I'm really focusing on building on subscribers on this YouTube channel. So please, if you find this content valuable, please subscribe. If you're watching from the Well Paid Musician channel, you can also please subscribe to Pat and Sean Kelly, their YouTube channel, and vice versa.
And Instagram too. If you guys want to follow us on Instagram, we'll follow you right back. See what you guys are up to as well. We're not just gonna expect you to follow us without us doing the same.
Yeah. I'm building all those things because we were talking about advertising too. Advertising is expensive.
Yeah,
and
man.
I've built a nice community pretty much on advertising for the Well Paid Musician Club, and I'm realizing now, just like the way I do my gigs, like that's part of the equation. It's not all of it though,
Mm-hmm.
and I intuitively get referrals and have a well-rounded, source of leads because it's new clients can come in through advertising, and then I retain them by getting rehired, getting referred, and
Yep.
doing similar stuff to what you guys are doing. And it's the same thing with this program. Like, I just want to provide more valuable content for performing musicians. So, you can always check out this link if you want to join. Again, cool. If not, just follow along. And it's only growing, and I'm bringing on people like Pat for this reason, is that this isn't stuff that I'm doing currently. I'm doing my own thing, but whatever it is, it's always helping musicians. It's always helping people like kind of ascend from those days of grinding it out in the bars or whatever it is. Even if you're working a day job and you can quit that job and make music your full-time income. I mean, that's a pretty cool thing. Pat's got a family. I have a family. Like it's pretty cool to say, yeah, I support my family on music. So
it takes a lot of scheduling, weekend scheduling.
Oh my God. Yeah,
for sure.
Oh my God. I got a hotel. It was funny. I got a hotel room on Saturday. It was only a 90-minute drive home, but I'm like, I'm going to get home at 3 and I'm going to have a baby wake me up at 6. I'm going to stay in a hotel. So I'll see you guys in the afternoon. I love you, but I'll get some shut eye and I'll see you the next day.
Hey man, if you can swing that too,
I mean, yeah, when the budget's there and you have, especially when I'm on the road, like I'm in my 40s, I turn into a pumpkin after midnight. I don't like driving. If it's local, it's fine. But like if I'm driving an hour and a half, 2 hours, like I don't really feel like doing that.
Oh yeah, for sure. We do a ton in Lancaster and areas where we're like, this is a far drive, but you get used to it, and then you're like, maybe a hotel room would be nice.
So Julia, I mean, it's the same for anything like holiday events or just everyday events. I mean, if you're talking corporate events are huge. Like December is one of our biggest months because you've got enough clients that have the same party every year, and some of them have been hiring me now 10 years.
Yeah, it's wild.
It's crazy.
It's wild, yeah.
And you can raise your price every year. So it's all the same strategies. It's year round, really. So I'm not sure what you mean about holiday events. If you want to be more specific about that question, I'd be happy to answer it. So, Janelle, you must have kids. That's probably why you're laughing. I'll let you field this one, Pat.
Sure. So wedding wire or the knot, is it worth it?
Yeah.
So that's the question, right? Yeah. Okay. So I built a course myself as well. I've launched it, but there's still some kinks that need to be figured out. But the first lesson is actually, should I join the wedding wire or the knot?
Cool.
Like, should I even do it? And for us, it really helped us in the beginning to get it really did help us in the beginning to get the gigs that we needed. Something that you have to keep in mind is you have to worry. You really have to think about what kind of profile, picture am I putting up there? Don't try to do what everyone else is doing. Like it's, for DJs, it was always a photo of the couple doing their first dance, or, just kind of the same stuff over and over again, like the DJ with the couple or something like that. And you really have to find ways to kind of break out from what everyone else is doing. And then you really have to go to the highest level. You have to pay for the premium in order to see if it's really going to work for you. The
Mhm.
standard pricing, it's just like, it's kind of hit or miss. Some people do well with it, some people don't. I would say it's worth it, but like we talked about before, only if you're going to be doing a lot of weddings, only if you're looking to do a ton of weddings. Because
Yeah,
if you're not,
don't dabble in it. Yeah.
yeah, don't use that and then have something else to get other gigs and then another. Like, if you're gonna put all your eggs in one basket and you
Yeah.
want to do weddings, like, go for it and do that.
And one thing I can attest to, because I've had multiple conversations with the
Mhm.
sales reps, is that um, the price is negotiable.
Yeah.
They will, if you say no on the first phone call, they'll keep calling you and they'll offer you a better deal.
Sure. Oh yeah.
So that's
I'm
just
still I'm still
that's a pro
butted up
tip.
with the sales guy. I'm still butted up with him.
Yeah. So cool. So I think we've kind of got through all the comments and questions at this point,
Awesome.
and it's funny because I was talking to Pat. We may have spent the same amount of time sound checking this
I know.
afternoon that we have live, because I was like, we could talk about this for 5 hours.
There's so many things with musicians that that they can do so much. And again, really wanting to get good, like really good people who want to do good work in the wedding industry. It's just, that's one of my things. It's one of the things that I see these awesome musicians that are like, they're like tainted by their experience in the wedding industry, but really it's just a matter of, trying to learn the business behind it, and instead of working for somebody else that is going to take a good amount. I mean, the stories I hear of how much people are getting paid from a company that is fielding all the gigs, it's just like, it's insane
I
that
mean,
you can do so well and learn the business on your own, and it's not that complicated.
it like, even if you're a bass player and you don't sing,
Yeah.
you could still be a band leader if you have the
Oh
initiative.
sure. Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that maybe it's a little easier for us that we sing, because we can do the band thing, we can do the solo
Mhm.
thing or whatever. But if you have, the drive, and you confront the band, why can't you be the agent too? It's
Yeah.
just, okay, well, how am I going to get these leads? Guys,
Hmm.
that's not the issue. It's not about, like, we just gave you, an hour and 12 minutes worth of free answers to this. I have a course, Pat's got a course. It's like, it's there's no shortage of demand for live music. Okay. It's like,
Yeah.
are you willing to be all in, be focused enough, and then professional enough? Because if you're talented enough and you can stand out, then the rest is, it's not that difficult. And I think that people focus on the wrong things, like, how am I going to find these? It's like, I don't know. I could tell you, 17 different ways to make a chicken breast that would taste delicious, right? There's no
Yeah.
one answer, but you know, we can figure it out.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
what I'm trying to do tonight is just give everybody a little bit more information about how to approach these things. And really, I think what impressed me was just the price that you guys are commanding and how much demand you're in. And rather than focusing on, like, so much how you get the gigs, like, where are they coming from? Like, we covered that, but it's not about, like, you have to stand out. You have to be
Yeah.
excellent enough in a way that people have no problem spending that kind of money. And
And really the relationship part of it,
yeah,
and really enjoying working with people, and no one person is more or less important, but also understanding how the industry works and how the venues work, and the other vendors work, like what they're worried about. My wife is in the industry. She was a
yeah,
huge part of getting us going, and she has taught me so much about all the other sides that
right,
I don't know about, but now I do. So
yeah,
I can say, "Oh, I know what you're working on," or I know how to appreciate what it is that you do.
awesome. Well, you're welcome, Susan. Thanks for tuning in.
Our pleasure.
Um, yeah, Jeff, he's a drummer, but he's the band leader,
Yeah.
so he knows what we're talking about.
Oh yeah, dude.
Janelle, our pleasure. Thanks so much.
For sure.
Um, James from Philly, thanks for tuning in. Yeah, no complaining here. Nate found this super
Thanks,
helpful.
Nate.
Hey guys, and once again, if you find this helpful and valuable, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. That helps both of us.
Yes,
Subscribe to
please.
both our channels, Well Paid Musician and Pat and Sean Kelly. And Mike, another member of the Well Paid Musician Club. It's good to see
Awesome.
everybody tuning
Thank you,
in.
Mike.
One of the things, music and catering, huge. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Florists, photographers, venues, you name it.
Photo booths.
Photo booths. Yeah.
I mean, it's just like there's so many things that people are doing, and it's great.
Oh, another member, Leon. Good to see you, man. Very cool. Yeah, so I think that's pretty much it for us, guys. Yeah,
Sounds good.
We could keep talking, but I'm sure.
Oh yeah, I mean, we could keep talking.
Yeah.
Would they want to listen?
Right.
You know. But again, anyone that wants to connect with us, feel free to shoot me a message on our Instagram or through wherever you want to find us, even through our website, through our email, whatever it is. More than happy to help you out with whatever I can.
Awesome. All right. Well, yeah, Pat, thank you very much.
Thank you, Matt.
If you guys are
kudos to you.
Hey man,
for getting this together, for just everything that you're doing. I love it, man. You're kicking ass and you're doing some great work.
Thank you. This is my favorite part about it, is connecting with like-minded musicians. That inspires me, because sometimes this work is I don't know, I don't want to say lonely, but like you feel like you're doing it on your own.
Sure.
And I love connecting with other musicians and like having this group. Part of the program and the training is we have a private Facebook group, and now Pat is part of that. So, you can always shoot Pat a message there if you're a member of the group. But yeah, that's the stuff that I feel like is helpful for me to just, it keeps me motivated. Is like, oh, look, I've got people that are like, I got, I don't know, like a handful of emails today after I sent out like, hey, we're doing this training, like thanking me, and just like, I'm like, all right, cool. This is helping people. This is
like appreciation is so
this
beautiful.
is nice. Because,
I'm with my kids all day, and then someone actually
5 minutes ago, I got kicked in the nuts, and here I am getting a nice email from a person.
Exactly.
So
great.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, we're going to sign off. But Well Paid Musician, I'm going to be doing a lot more of this kind of stuff, and to follow along, Pat and Sean Kelly, and we're going to tune off. See you guys.
Peace.